Hey, what's going on, guys? It's HawksNest here, back with another call. Sorry, I had to troll you guys. Anyway, hey, what's going on, guys? It's HawksNest here, back with another Call of Duty mobile video. Now, inside of today's video, we're going to be talking about the brand new 5.45 caliber ammo attachment on the AK-47. This attachment recently came out with the AK-47 Pumpkin, or you could just unlock it for free by getting 50 long shots with the AK-47, which I was dumb and thought was headshots for a while, so I played like 3 games going for headshots, and then I realized it was long shots. So just go ahead and hop onto like Crossfire, Domination or something, and you can probably get this done in like 2 games. It didn't take me too long. I just threw a 3X on it and recoil attachments and just sprayed people across the map and got it fairly quickly. But anyway, once again, we are going to be talking about this attachment in this video and talking about exactly what it does, because the description of it doesn't really give us the full picture. There is a lot more changes other than just increasing the fire rate and lowering the close range damage, range, and recoil control. So we're going to be talking about that inside of this video, and I'll be kind of comparing it side by side, old and before, and letting you guys know what the best build is, whether or not I think this is a viable attachment, and just kind of what comparative weapons are, so like what similar weapons are to the AK-47 with the 5.45 caliber, just so you guys can kind of know whether or not it'll fit your playstyle. So with all that being said, let's go ahead and start talking about exactly what this attachment does, starting with some of the more simple things and then getting into some of the weirder, more complicated mechanics of this attachment. So first thing is the fire rate. Now the fire rate goes from 543 rounds per minute up to 706 rounds per minute, which is the same as going from the ASM-10's fire rate to the HBR's fire rate, which is a substantial increase of about 30%. But obviously this fire rate increase does not come without its downsides, and here is going to be the downsides relating to the range and damage values. So the old range values would be 0 to 28 meters would be 33 damage, 29 meters to 35 would be 25 damage, and then 36 meters and above would be 24 damage, which in turn relates to a 4-shot kill, 4-shot kill, and 5-shot kill, or a 3-shot kill if you're able to hit a headshot from 0 to 28 meters, which was kind of the only really redeemable quality about this weapon at those closer ranges, but it was still fairly difficult to use. But with the 5.45 attachment, you're going to have 0 to 14 meters is 25 damage, 15 meters to 23 is 20 damage, 24 meters to 35 meters is 17 damage, and then 36 meters and above is 15 damage, which if we go ahead and compare that to the HBR-A3, it's nearly identical, and as I said before, the fire rate is nearly identical as well. So essentially the 5.45 caliber ammo on the AK-47 basically turns it into an HBR, but there are some key differences that we will talk about very soon, but essentially with the range and time to kill values, you're looking at basically the same thing. Now, obviously, because this weapon actually shoots faster, the recoil will climb faster, but also you do just have a little bit more recoil added overall with the 5.45. So if you guys want to see what that looks like exactly side by side, here's a little snippet just kind of showing that off. And because I did say that the HBR-A3 and the 5.45 on the AK are very similar in terms of time to kill, here's a recoil comparison between the two. Do keep in mind, though, that this attachment does not affect your accuracy stat on the AK-47, so the accuracy should be the same, but the recoil control, again, will be changed. But the AK-47 should be a little bit more accurate, meaning your shots will go exactly where you're aiming a little bit more often than a gun like the HBR-A3. Although, again, the recoil is going to be a lot more vertical. It's going to climb a lot faster, but the build that we're going to talk about very soon basically eliminates that, and most of the recoil on this weapon is very vertical, so all you have to do is pull down. Now, before we go on with this video, we are currently on the road to 500,000 subscribers, so if you guys want to support me and my channel and you guys actually enjoy the videos that I do make, dropping a sub down below would mean a ton. But anyway, let's go ahead and get right back into the video. So now let's go ahead and talk about the unique things about this attachment, because there is 2 main things that are very, very unique, and I honestly don't know if it was intentional or they kind of messed up when they did it. But anyway, let's go ahead and get right into that. So the first thing is that the headshot multiplier is going to be 1.25 as opposed to the typical 1.2. So most of the time when you shoot someone in the head, you're going to deal 1.2 times as much damage. So for example, with the typical AK close range, you'll deal 33 damage, but if you do hit the head, you're going to deal 1.2 times as much, which, let me go ahead and get the exact number. That would be 39.6 damage. But with the 5.45, once again, for whatever reason, it's 1.25, which I've never seen on a gun. Every single gun that I've ever tested has been 1, 1.1, 1.2, 1.3, 1.4. It's always kind of like an even number, whereas this is 1.25, which is really weird. And I did double check this. I made sure of it. So anyway, the headshot values will be 31.25, 25, 21.25, and 18.75. So headshots are generally useless with this class. It is a weapon that you're going to be wanting to aim for the body. The only time the headshots technically help would be at that second range, which is 15 to 23 meters. But even then, you'd have to hit 4 headshots for it to be useful. So most of the time, I don't recommend going with headshots with this weapon, which will be a change from the typical AK, where you're basically always trying to hit those headshots to get that 3-shot kill up to 28 meters. So already with the 5.45 attachment, you can tell one of the key differences is that it is a lot easier to use than the typical AK, because again, you just have to aim for body shots. Although it will kick a little bit more, but again, that's not really that big of a deal because it's mostly vertical kick. So just pull down and kind of get used to the weapon and you should be good. And also the accuracy isn't impacted, which would be the randomness of it, which is really good. So that means you'll still be able to control kind of where your shots are going. Also, if you guys want to see a time to kill comparison of the typical AK and the 5.45 attachment, here it is. As you can see, the AK-47 with the 5.45 will be faster at some ranges, and then the typical AK will be faster at other ranges. Although there is something we're going to talk about very, very soon, which kind of makes the 5.45 better at almost all ranges. So now that takes us to the barrels. Now the barrels on the AK are typically very good, but with the 5.45 caliber, they're insane. When I say insane, I'm literally like talking like I think they might have messed up and they might patch this in the future or something, but the barrels are just absolutely unreal. Let's go ahead and talk about that a little bit more. So you know how I said that the HBR-A3 is very, very similar? Well, let's go ahead and talk about the Ranger barrel on the HBR-A3. With the Ranger barrel, you do actually gain extra damage range, and if you're wondering how much damage range increase you actually get, I'll go ahead and show you guys a little side-by-side comparison. Basically, you get a 20% increase to all of your ranges, which seems really good, a 20% increase, right? Well, yeah, it's good, but now let's go ahead and talk about the AK-47 with the 5.45 attachment and a Ranger barrel. So 20% increase on the HBR-A3, and with the AK-47, it's a 70% increase, a 70% increase to all of your ranges. If you guys want to see what this looks like side by side, I'll go ahead and show you guys right now. So as you can see, it's bonkers. And it's not only the Ranger barrel, although the Ranger barrel is going to be the best in terms of the range increase. The Marksman barrel has a 50% increase, and then the Extended Light barrel has a 25% increase. So still very, very good with those, but the Ranger barrel is going to set the range to absolutely bonkers numbers. So basically with the Ranger barrel, you're going to be able to extend your 4-shot kill distance from 14 meters all the way up to 25 meters, which is really, really good because that's typically where you take fights. Anywhere from 14 meters to 25 meters, that's a very typical place to fight. So that range increase will come in handy in a ton of gunfights with this attachment on this weapon. It kind of turns the AK-47 into a gun that's very similar to the Man of War, although it does fire faster, so it will be a little bit easier to hit your shots because slower firing guns are a little bit harder to use. But the AK-47, as I said before, is already fairly easy to use because you just have to hit body shots, and because it shoots faster than the Man of War, it will be easier to use. And also, I prefer the iron sights on the AK-47. But yeah, so it definitely makes this weapon a lot more similar to the Man of War, but I do think this will be something that people will enjoy using more, just because once again, it does fire faster, and the iron sights are a lot cleaner than the average Man of War iron sights. Now, obviously, I could go into the stats of all of the other attachments, but I really didn't find anything else that was super unique or anything. Nothing that really stands out with the 5.45 caliber ammo. So I don't think we'll really get into that, but now let's go ahead and talk about exactly how I would build this weapon and whether or not I do think this is a viable weapon. So here's the class that I would personally use with the AK-47. This is kind of more of a mid-range build. It's specifically designed for ranges anywhere from about 15 to 25 meters. That is really its sweet spot. Although you can use this at a little bit closer ranges if you need to, although the thing is that the mobility is not super great. Your movement speed and your ADS speed are not the best. Although they are definitely usable, it's definitely not at like a LMG level. It is still somewhat fast, although again, this isn't really built to be used from 0 to like 14 meters. And at those longer ranges, the damage does fall off quite a bit, so your time to kills won't be that good. So anything after about 25 meters is not great. Now, typically I wanted to design this to be like an SMG because when I first read the description of the 5.45 caliber ammo, I just imagined this would be designed to kind of be like an SMG. Honestly, the insane barrels just make it so that you have to use this thing at more mid ranges because the buff from this barrel is just so insane that you you just have to use it. I did spend a long time trying to make this build very versatile and something you could use at close range and mid range, but honestly, I just didn't like it, and I thought there was way better weapons. You could use like the QQ9, you could use the HD40, you could use a ton of different SMGs and a couple ARs at that kind of range area, but I think where this thing really shines is once again that 15 to 25 meter mark, which is really good because again, a lot of gunfights take place in that area, and you're going to be getting pretty absurd time to kills at this range. So final thoughts, do I think this is good? I think if you use the Ranger barrel, or honestly any of the barrels that I described, although I think Ranger is probably going to be the best right now, yes, I think it is really good. Do I think it's the best gun? No, I would say it's probably like a top 5 AR with with this build. I still have to use it more and kind of try it out more and really see what it looks like and how it feels like. I have done a couple games on this and I have like gathered all the stats, so just from what I can see from a comparison standpoint or a statistical standpoint, it seems amazing, but only time will tell, and we'll have to see if the pros enjoy it and all that. But I do think this is a build where at the very least you should try it out. And again, I know I said it a ton, but 15 to 25 meters, go ahead and take gunfights at that range and you'll be surprised at number one, how little recoil there is, and number two, how fast this gun will kill. And again, the only downside is the mobility won't be great, but again, it's not bad. So with all of that being said, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, make sure to drop a like and a sub down below, and I will see you guys later. Peace.